The world loves smart people, scores, titles, labels. Being called intelligent feels like a win, but there is a quiet truth most people never hear. Intelligence, when trusted too much, can slowly turn against you. It can make you blind. It can make you rigid. It can trap you inside your own thinking. And the most dangerous part is this: you never notice it happening. What if the very thing you worked so hard to build is the reason you stopped growing? What if high IQ is not a gift, but a comfortable cage? What if being too smart is actually holding you back? What if IQ, the number people chase, compare, and worship, has very little to do with real wisdom? Some of the greatest minds who ever lived warned about this exact danger. They did not praise intelligence blindly. They questioned it. They distrusted it. And one way of thinking explains this better than anything else. This video is not about being dumb. It is not about rejecting learning or thinking. It is about a deeper idea that most people miss. The idea that raw intelligence without humility becomes a trap. And that trap is subtle. It feels like confidence. It feels like clarity. It feels like being right. But underneath it slowly blocks curiosity, honesty, and growth. In the next few minutes, you will learn why smart people often make the worst mistakes. You will learn why intelligence can protect bad ideas instead of fixing them. And you will learn how a powerful way of thinking warned about this danger long before psychology gave it a name. The title of this video is simple but uncomfortable. Stop trying to be smart. Why high IQ can become a trap. This is not clickbait. This is not exaggeration. This is a lesson pulled from real life, real failures, and real insights that most people never connect. And by the end of this video, you will understand why chasing the image of being smart can quietly destroy your ability to think clearly. The ideas behind this way of thinking did not come from average observation. They came from deep experience, from watching brilliant people fail, from watching confidence overpower truth, from seeing how intelligence, when mixed with ego, creates blind spots instead of clarity. The sharpest minds in the room were often the most confident, but not always the most accurate. They could argue beautifully. They could explain anything, and yet they were sometimes completely wrong. This way of thinking became famous, not because of how much knowledge it collected, but because of how it treated knowledge itself. Everything was questioned, including personal beliefs. Pride was avoided. Fancy language was rejected. Complex ideas were broken into simple pieces, not to impress, but to test them. The belief was simple. If you cannot explain something simply, you do not truly understand it. This belief put pressure on ideas, not people. It exposed weak thinking without attacking intelligence. One of the most powerful ideas behind this mindset is also one of the most uncomfortable. You must not fool yourself, and you are the easiest person to fool. That sentence carries more weight than it seems. It means intelligence does not protect you from self-deception. It often makes it worse. A sharp mind can build perfect excuses. It can defend weak beliefs. It can hide errors behind logic and confidence. And the smarter you are, the better you become at doing this without realizing it. This is where the trap begins. High IQ gives tools, logic, memory, speed, but it does not give honesty, it does not give humility, and it does not give the courage to admit ignorance. Without those qualities, intelligence becomes a shield, not a lens. Instead of seeing reality more clearly, smart people can become experts at defending their version of reality. This pattern appears again and again. Brilliant thinkers, educated professionals, confident minds, all falling into the same quiet mistake, trusting intelligence more than truth. This video shows how that happens. Why intelligence alone does not lead to better decisions. Why smart people fall into bias faster than others. Why being known as the smart one becomes a dangerous identity, and how a different approach to thinking offers an escape from this trap, not by lowering intelligence, but by balancing it with something far more powerful. There are stories rarely talked about when intelligence is praised, choosing problems that feel uncomfortable, avoiding spaces where everyone agrees too easily, walking away from certainty that comes too fast, treating confusion as a sign of learning, not failure. While many people try to protect their reputation, this mindset protects curiosity. That choice changes everything. It makes false confidence uncomfortable. It makes shallow certainty visible. The drama in this story is not loud. It is quiet. It plays out in everyday thinking, in careers that stall, in arguments that go nowhere, in smart people who stop learning because they think they already know. This video is not here to flatter intelligence. It is here to challenge it, to strip it down, to ask what happens when being smart becomes more important than being right. By watching until the end, you gain something rare, a way to think that does not collapse under ego, a mindset that keeps learning alive, a shield against the invisible mistakes that intelligence alone cannot fix. This is not about lowering standards. It is about raising them, not for knowledge, but for honesty. For decades, IQ has been treated like a scoreboard for the human mind, a number that promises clarity, a number that claims to rank thinking itself. High IQ is praised as proof of intelligence, potential, and even superiority. Low IQ is treated as limitation. Schools reward it. Companies admire it. Society trusts it. But this belief rests on a quiet misunderstanding. IQ does not measure how well you think in real life. It measures how well you perform on a narrow set of tasks under controlled conditions. Logic puzzles, memory recall, pattern recognition, speed. These are useful skills, but they are not thinking itself. They are tools, not judgment. They do not tell you how to choose wisely when information is incomplete. They do not show how you act when emotions are involved. They do not measure how you handle uncertainty, pressure, or conflicting values. Real thinking happens in messy situations, situations with no clear answers, situations where facts collide with fear, pride, and belief. IQ does not live there. A person can score high on an IQ test and still make terrible choices. This happens more often than people want to admit because IQ creates confidence. Confidence creates trust, and trust in one's own mind can quietly replace doubt. When someone believes their intelligence protects them from error, they stop checking themselves. They stop questioning first impressions. They stop asking simple questions that feel beneath them. This is where the myth becomes dangerous. High IQ does not mean better decisions. It does not mean deeper thinking. And it certainly does not mean less bias. In many cases, it means the opposite. It means stronger beliefs, faster conclusions, better arguments in defense of those conclusions. Real-world decisions demand something different. They demand rational thinking, not just intelligence. Rational thinking means weighing evidence honestly, even when it hurts. It means changing direction when facts change. It means recognizing limits. It means slowing down instead of showing off. IQ does not train this skill. In fact, it can interfere with it. When people identify strongly with being smart, they feel pressure to always be right. Being wrong becomes a threat to identity, and once identity is involved, thinking becomes defensive. This is where the intelligence trap begins. The intelligence trap is not about lacking intelligence, it is about being captured by it. It happens when mental ability becomes a shield instead of a tool. Smart people fall into this trap because they trust their thinking too much. They assume errors happen to others. They believe their reasoning is cleaner, their logic sharper, their conclusions more reliable. This belief feels justified because it has been rewarded for years. Good grades, praise, respect, authority. Over time, intelligence stops being something you use and starts being something you protect. One part of this trap is the bias blind spot. Smart people are often good at spotting mistakes in others. Flawed arguments stand out clearly. Weak logic feels obvious. Emotional reasoning looks sloppy. But when it comes to their own thinking, that sharp vision fades. Bias hides more easily behind intelligence. It wears the mask of logic. It sounds reasonable. It feels earned. The smarter the person, the harder it becomes to notice personal blind spots. not because they do not exist, but because intelligence builds confidence that blocks self-examination. Another part of the trap is overconfidence. High IQ often leads to the feeling of certainty. Thoughts arrive quickly, answers feel clear, doubt feels unnecessary. This speed can be useful in simple problems, but dangerous in complex ones. Real life rarely offers clean puzzles with one correct answer. It offers trade-offs, unclear data, human behavior, long-term consequences. Overconfidence pushes people to act before understanding. It replaces curiosity with closure. And once a decision is made, intelligence steps in to defend it. This defense creates the justification loop. When a smart person makes a mistake, intelligence does not always correct it. Instead, it explains it. It reframes it. It builds a story that makes the mistake feel reasonable. This story can sound logical. It can be persuasive. It can even convince others. But it does not fix the original error. It protects it. Each explanation strengthens attachment to the wrong idea. Each argument deepens commitment. Over time, the mistake becomes part of identity. Admitting error now feels like losing intelligence itself. This loop is powerful because it feels like thinking. It uses logic. It uses language. It uses evidence selectively, but it avoids the hardest step, admitting uncertainty, saying, "I don't know," pausing to reconsider. These actions feel risky to someone whose value has been tied to being smart. Intelligence, in this form, becomes a performance, and performances must be maintained. The intelligence trap also feeds on success. When smart people succeed early, they learn the wrong lesson. They learn that their first answer is usually right. They learn that effort is less important than ability. They learn to trust instinct over process. This works until it doesn't. And when failure finally arrives, it feels confusing and unfair. Instead of questioning methods, many double down. They assume the problem lies elsewhere, in other people, in bad timing, in external factors, rarely in their own thinking. Another hidden danger is complexity addiction. Smart people often prefer complex explanations. Simple ideas feel suspicious. Straightforward answers feel incomplete. This bias pushes them to overthink, to add layers, to build systems that feel elegant but solve the wrong problem. Complexity can hide errors better than simplicity. It gives the illusion of depth while avoiding clarity. In real decision-making, simplicity often wins. But simplicity requires humility, and humility is not rewarded by IQ culture. The intelligence trap also shapes how people listen. Smart people often listen to respond, not to learn. They prepare arguments while others speak. They search for flaws instead of meaning. This habit reinforces belief and weakens understanding. Over time, conversations become battles. Learning slows, perspectives narrow, intelligence sharpens disagreement, but dulls insight. What makes this trap especially dangerous is that it feels like strength. It looks like confidence. It sounds like authority. From the outside, the smart person appears competent and composed. Inside, thinking becomes rigid. New information is filtered, not welcomed. Contradictions are dismissed, not explored. Intelligence becomes a wall rather than a bridge. This is why high IQ does not protect against poor judgment. Judgment depends on values, awareness, and self-control. It depends on recognizing when logic ends and uncertainty begins. It depends on emotional regulation and social understanding. These skills develop through experience, reflection, and feedback. IQ tests do not measure them. Schools rarely teach them, and intelligence alone cannot replace them. The tragedy of the intelligence trap is not that smart people fail. Everyone fails. The tragedy is that smart people often fail without learning. Their intelligence explains away the lesson. It softens the blow. It preserves ego at the cost of growth. Over time, this pattern repeats. Different situations, same mistakes, strong reasoning, weak outcomes. Understanding this trap is uncomfortable. It challenges a comforting belief, the belief that intelligence guarantees success, that thinking harder solves everything, that being smart means being right. Letting go of this belief does not reduce intelligence. It frees it. It allows intelligence to work with humility instead of against it. But reaching that point requires something IQ does not measure: the willingness to doubt oneself. And this is where the real shift begins. Not by rejecting intelligence, but by refusing to worship it. Not by lowering standards, but by changing what those standards are. From being smart to thinking well. From winning arguments to understanding reality. From defending identity to refining judgment. The intelligence trap loosens only when a person stops trying to prove how smart they are and starts caring more about what is true. The lesson left behind is quiet, but it cuts deep. Don't fool yourself, because no one else can deceive you as easily as you can. Check your biases, not once but constantly, because bias does not disappear when you become intelligent. It simply becomes harder to notice. Never assume you have all the answers, because the moment you feel finished, your thinking starts to decay. This mindset is not a trick or a technique. It is not something you achieve and move on from. It is a lifelong way of thinking, a daily habit, a choice you make again and again to value truth over comfort. Intelligence tests end with a score. Real thinking never ends. So stop chasing IQ as if it defines your worth. Stop trying to look smart. Start trying to think clearly. Start asking better questions instead of rushing toward answers. Learn to pause when certainty feels too easy. Learn to sit with uncertainty instead of running from it. Growth lives there. Wisdom lives there. The strongest minds are not the ones that cling to being right, but the ones that can let go when they are wrong. Real wisdom isn't how smart you are. It's how willing you are to rethink what you think you know. If this way of thinking resonated with you, stay with us, like this video, so more people can find it. Share it with someone who values thinking over ego, and subscribe to the channel for more ideas that challenge comfort and sharpen clarity. We're here to think better together.